all, this is Anjali, and in this video I'm going to explain you another question which comes for 5 marks in theory exam. Now here we are given a screen where we have to find out the compound interest and amount. For this, when I designed the screen, these all are the labels, like we have this text written over here, HDFC compound interest calculator, this principal, time, all these are labels where we are showing some text, and these all white boxes are your text fields where user can type in something. These are the two radio buttons on the basis of which user decides which type of account it is, whether it's a fixed deposit or it's a recurring deposit. This one is a checkbox for senior citizen. If the person is a senior citizen, this would be ticked, otherwise not. And then we have these three buttons, that's calculate, clear and close. So on the click of calculate, we need to calculate the compound interest and the amount based on some conditions, and then clear is used to clear all these text fields, checkboxes and all, and close is used to close the window. Now let's have a brief view on the conditions, what we should check for getting the result. So here the formula for compound interest is principal into 1 plus rate upon 100 raised to the power t, and the amount would be principal plus interest. But what should be the rate of interest? That depends on these conditions. Like if the account is fixed deposit and the time is less than equal to 1 year, the rate should be 10%. If it's fixed deposit but the time is greater than 1 and less than equal to 5, it should be 12%. But now if it's not a fixed deposit, it's a recurring deposit, then we check the time. If time is less than equal to 2, it's 10%. If it is between 2 to 7, it's 12%. If the person is a senior citizen, we are giving 2% extra interest to the person. Now you have to write the code to calculate this and accordingly show the rate, then interest and the amount in the given text fields. Along with that, we have questions where we have to write the code to clear all the text boxes and check boxes except date text field and set the default choice in the option button. Then display the current date in the text field date. Fine. So right now we're going to see how to code for these buttons. So first of all, we're going to see the code for calculate button. When I double click on calculate, so I should write the coding over there. So I've written some code for you already, and like I want in this particular example, my values can be in points, so it's better I take them in double data type. So I've taken the data type as double because the values can be in points. So we have to read the value of principal and time. So we write double dot parse double t1 dot get text. So whatever is in t1, that we take and put it in principal. Then you take time in t. So I've read these two values. Now there was a condition also which I couldn't read it. That was that principal should be a positive value. For that, I check this condition that if p is greater than 0, that principal is greater than 0, then only we have to work, otherwise we won't work, we won't calculate anything. Now if it is greater than 0, that means principal is a positive value. Then we check for all those conditions. My R1 stands for fixed deposit. R2 is the name of the radio button, which is for recurring deposit. By default, the names are J radio button 1, J radio button 2. I have changed them to R1 and R2. So I check if R1 dot is selected. That means the dot is there in the first radio button and time is less than equal to 1. If it is so, then R should be 10. The rate should be 10. Else if R1 is selected but the time is greater than 1 and less than equal to 5, then rate of interest should be 12. Else if R2 is selected and time is less than equal to 2, so rate of interest should be 10. Otherwise, if R2 is selected but the time is 2 and less than equal to 7, then it's 12. And if none of the conditions satisfy, I put rate as 0. So this is how I have found the rate of interest which should be applied for the calculations. Now we had one more condition, that if the person is a senior citizen, we have to give 2% extra rate of interest. So for that, I need to check whether the checkbox is selected or not. Again, the name by default is J checkbox 1. I have changed it to C1. So I'm checking if C1 dot is selected. So if the checkbox is selected, the rate should be increased by 2. So R is equal to R plus 2. Finally, I have the final thing in R. So in R, I have the final rate of interest which has to be applied. Now I have to calculate the interest. Now look at this line. This line is helping me to find the compound interest. The formula for compound interest was principal into 1 plus R upon 100 raised to the power t. Don't have any raised to the power operator as such in Java, but we have a function called POW, power. It's there in a class named math. So you have to write math M capital dot POW, and in brackets I have to give two things, the base comma the power. So the base is 1 plus R upon 100 and the power is t. So it will find 1 plus R upon 100 raised to the power t multiplied by p, that would be the interest, and then finally you need to add it to the principal. So we write amount is equal to P, that is principal, plus interest, that becomes the amount, which I further have to show in the respective text fields. So T4 is the name of the text field where I have to show the rate. So I set R into that. Then T5 is the one where I have to show the interest, and T6 is the one where I have to show the amount. So this is how we show the values in the respective text fields. So we took the input, we checked all the conditions. According to that, we perform the calculations, and finally we display it in the respective text fields. So this is how you can code for different conditions and different calculations. So this was the main code. Now a few small things which are left are like the code for clear. Now for the clear, this told that we don't have to clear T3 because that's for date. Date should not be cleared, so we should clear only T1, T2, T4, T5, T6. Except date, I've cleared them all. Then checkboxes should be cleared. So checkbox is C1. So I have to write C1 dot set selected in bracket false to remove the tick mark from there. And for radio buttons, it was told that by default fixed deposit should be selected. So by default fixed deposit should be selected. So what I need to do for that is I have to write radio button 1 dot set selected true. True means I'm selecting the first radio button through my code. So by default R1 will be selected and the dot will appear in that. So that is the coding for radio button, that how can you make it selected by default. And to clear the checkbox, it has to be false because we need to remove the tick mark. If you will pass true here, then tick mark will appear in the checkbox, but if we give false, it will not appear in the checkbox. And the coding for close is same, system.exit0, that will close your window. There was one more thing, you had to write the code to show the current date in text field 3. So we don't have to make text field 3 blank, but we have to show the current date in that. To show the current date in that, you can take an object of date class, which is there in util package. So we need to write like this, date d. Either you can write like this, java.util.date, or you have to import java.util to use this. Otherwise, I can write that I'm creating an object of a class named date, which is in util package of Java. So java.util.date, d is equal to new java.util.date, and over here in T3, I have to show the date. So T3.setText, and you have to set the d. By default, it will show you the current date, and we need to convert it to string format to be shown in the text field. So I can write d.toString. This will show the date in the T3 text field by default. So when I start with it, when I run this code, I want that initially the date should come there. So I'll click on clear once, and you'll see that the FD radio button will get selected of its own, and the date will appear in the text field T3. So that's how we code for this, and you can get 5 marks for answering different part of this question. So the frame would just appear. So here is the frame. If I click on clear, see there is no radio button selected by default right now. The moment I click on clear, I get dot in this one because we made sure that the first one should get selected, and this is the current date. That's Monday, 12th Feb, time and everything is there. Okay, so this is how we get the date, and here is your principal amount. Then you give time. Okay, time I should give here, and I click on calculate, so I get the result. So this is the result where I have got the rate of interest, the compound interest, and the amount, which is this plus this. So that's how calculations can be done. If I select senior citizen, you can see the rate of interest has increased by 2. So that's how we can code in Java to get the desired result. Hope it is clear to you how have I coded. In case you're not clear with any of the code in this question, do write in the comment section. I'll get back to you. Thank you.